an international jet-setting agile coach, who, as you can see, is here to talk to us about the cost of delay. All right, take it away.
Okay, thank you. Yes, I haven't been here for about 18 months. I think the last talk I did here was the lightning talk, 2016 Christmas, on why triathlon is better than football, but you guys didn't even vote me a podium place on that. I think something on unit testing came higher. I had to sack off all international stuff. Baby number 2 is due. I'm hoping not in the next 2 hours, but certainly very, very soon. So if I do look at my phone during this, apologies for that. Okay, so what I'm going to talk about is cost of delay. Has anyone read Don's third book, The Principles of Product Development Flow? Very, very dry, 500 pages. It's a case of read it, forget about it, come back to it later on and try and dissect what you can. Basically, I've tried to cram that into about 20 slides, and then we're going to do a little simulation, have a little chat afterwards, and hopefully get wrapped up in about 50-55 minutes. So everything that's on your table at the moment, forget about that for a little bit. This is Don's third book. The first 2 you don't need to read, but yeah, if you get a chance to read this, it's worth digesting it. Especially if anything we talk about over the next 55 minutes resonates and is of interest to you. Book's great. I managed to spend 2 days with the guy in a masterclass that Radtac sorted out down in London back in May. Fantastic. So it really brought some of this to life. The guy's experience regarding product flow is pretty much the smartest guy alive on the planet today when it comes to it. Who he's worked with, the governments, the US Navy, Boeing, Hewlett-Packard, it's just ridiculous. And the anecdotes that he tells when he talks about his time, oops. Oh no, that's fine, it's Twitter, it's okay. When he talks about his time at Hewlett-Packard, he refers to it as Bill and Dave, the founders, because that was the level that these principles, he used them at. As with anything with Agile, it's the principles that you adhere to and you just scale them. So whether you're talking about a team, a program, or a portfolio, whether it's $50 or $50 million, the principles stay exactly the same. I pressed the wrong button. Aha, here we go. So what do we mean by cost of delay? Cost of delay is a way of sharing and understanding the impact of time against forecasted outcomes. It provides a means to calculate and compare the cost of not completing something now by choosing to do it later. And according to what Don says, if you can measure just one thing, it should be cost of delay. So just think about all your current metrics that you have in your company. Forget about those. It should be the cost of delay. So I'm assuming I can draw on these walls. Hippo digital will be fine. To say we have some cost of delay measure up there. Everything relates to dollars. That's the only currency that I talk about. And say this is a map of, we've got January and December here. We're doing an Agile conference in November. We start selling tickets in January, assuming we get a bell curve distribution. It may look like that. If we start selling them, can't even spell, in April, it may look something like that. So ergo, the cost of delay is your lost revenue here. Awesome, very simple. Likewise, if you're working in a regulated industry and November you have to put in a change or you'll get fined. So there's your deadline. You could start it in January and do the work then, or you could start it the week before, which is probably not advised, or you could start it sometime in October and do the work then. Doing the work too early, the cost of delay for that will be any rework, any changes that you need to do. Maybe you're doing it for the Bank of England or HMRC and they change your mind. So doing it too far in front, any money you spend is going to be void. Too far late, you risk missing the deadline and getting fined. But then maybe the fine is £1 million and it costs you £2 million to do it. So it's allowing you to have those sort of conversations. Every time I do this, I always get this response, but this doesn't apply to us. Our delays don't cost anything. Really? David Foster Wallace, if I can speak properly, American historian and writer, I think he's now dead. He did a commencement speech in 2005 at Kenyon University. Basically, the story goes, there's two young fish swimming in a river, and they're swimming along happily, having a good day. They come across a older, wiser fish swimming in the opposite direction. The wiser fish looks at the two younger fish, smiles and says, "How is the water today?" The two younger fish, a little bit puzzled, but just smile and nod nonchalantly. They carry on a few minutes later. One of the younger fish turns to the other and asks the other one, "What is water?" Sometimes you're surrounded by things day in, day out, you don't realise it's there until all of a sudden that's just the way things work and it's taken for granted. So what we want to do is how do we make those invisible cues visible, tangible and accountable? Okay, so if you're on the M62 at 3 in the morning and there's a car crash that closes the lane, that's fine, that's no problem. The same thing happens at 4:30 on a Friday afternoon, the whole thing turns into chaos. So what we're going to cover over the next few slides are very simple theories like queues, utilisation and WIP, but with a slight economic twist on them. As I said here, invisible and unmanaged queues are the root cause of poor economic performance in product development. And when we talk about product development, we mean that not just devs knocking things out, we also mean sort of large programs of work. Same thing applies to when you go for your coffee. So if you're a developer, you're going to go for your double espresso or whatever it is. Here we're mapping out the queue size versus the capacity utilization. Anyone know where queue theory came from? No?
Was it telecom switch?
Oh, awesome, yeah. Early turn of the century, Copenhagen, to do with the switching of the telecoms due to the low WIP and you can only have one call at once. You'll see that graph a lot, MM1 to infinity Q. Basically, if you're running your systems at 100%, on a spreadsheet that may look fantastic and really, really good, but in reality, your Q lengths are just going to go through the roof. Likewise, if you run your system, sorry, it's a wife, run it at 10%. Nope, all good. Run it at 10%, fantastic, you're going to have no queues, but then that's not going to be really viable. So you do need to find out where your sweet spot is. Does anyone know what capacity they run their teams or program at? No? Okay. And then with that, okay, we make them visible, that's fine. We want to put a value on that as well. So whether your currency of value are CSAT scores are important, OKIs, KPIs, number of FTEs, your transaction cost, whatever it is you deal with, you should be able to bring that back to a dollar value of some description. No matter if you're private, limited, or even public sector, you're all working to budgets. You all should be able to put a common understanding of a value that anyone in the organization can understand. If you're not working towards the same value, that's when you're going to have problems. That's where you're going to have people in sales pushing one thing that's going to be counterproductive to something that pod support or dev are doing later on. So for example, if you had a program of work and you took a 10% hit in the value, so your MVP was 10% less, that equated to 20 grand. You had a 2-month delay, that was 100 grand. And you took a hit with a risk, so an increase your liability by 25%, that's 15,000. You should be able to put values on these so you can have those open discussions with whoever it's going to concern. And then if you are working on multiple programs at once, if you are increasing your queue limits and you're having to push work out, these are the things that you can trade off against. So, okay, we can do 10 things at once, but the downside is it's going to push the delivery time out and ergo a 2-month delay is going to hit you 100k. Anyone not know what their development teams run at a week or a month in terms of cost? Question, anyone know what their dev teams? Few, okay. That's good, because that's the only way you can ascertain what the value is. I had one government client recently, they delivered £15,000 of value, which was good, because at least they were tracking it. It cost them £200,000 to get that 15,000. So in hindsight, they could have sent everyone home, not done anything, bought pizza and gone to Nando's with beer. But they did the work, but at least they tracked it. So the ethos was good, and the principle was good, just the way they went about it wasn't so hot.
Can I ask a question, please?
Yeah.
So I have the book, and the biggest problem I have with it is it tells you all this stuff, like the one thing that you should measure should be cost of delay, but it never really goes into how you should do that. And when you said put a pound's value on it, a dollar's value on it, how do you go about that?
Ask that again in 30 minutes
Right,
if it's not clear. So obviously everything comes down to queues. A lot of this is sort of, ignorance is bliss. We'll run at 100%. That's fantastic. It doesn't affect us. So some anti-patterns here. You don't measure or manage the invisible queues in your process. Obviously you need to make them visible to do something about them. If you can't see those queues, you underestimate the true cost of overloading the process. Such overloads are going to hurt all aspects of development performance. If you're running your teams at 100%, they're doing 8-hour days plus whatever they do at home and the weekends, your morale is going to go to shit and you're going to lose the team. So this is going back into your sort of lean agile leader principles, your servant leadership stuff, your Deming, your Drucker. Correct queue size is an economic trade-off. Just like physics and perpetual motion, nothing is for free. Whichever levers you pull are going to have some effect later down the line. You just need to know what those are and what the cost is to your organization. Analysis beats intuition. Sounds pretty straightforward, but you're surprised how many companies I go to and they say, oh, I understand this, I've got a good feeling on this. Rhinestone's research says even the best gut feel is going to be out by a range of 10 to 1. That's massive. Even with some basic analysis, you can get that down to 2 to 1. So start looking at your empirical data and things like that when you are doing cost of delay. If you're going with just gut feels and, well, it's always been like this, you're going to be out by a massive factor. And that's assuming you have good intuition. If it's bad intuition, out by up to 200 to 1. So once you start dealing with projects that are worth hundreds, millions of dollars, you just get into stupid money that you're wasting, which in most cases you can't see. You don't know you're doing it. So things like value stream mapping here are very beneficial. Anyone not value stream mapped their workflow from sales to delivery? When you go back tomorrow, start doing it. It's fantastic. It will flag up all the things, all the wait times and things like that you can look at, manage, and start putting some costings to and start addressing. It's pointless having a dev team that delivers everything in 2 weeks if it takes 6 months from prod to get it out the door. It's just ridiculous. There's no point optimizing one component. You need to take a systems thinking view of this and start optimizing the whole. Touched on that a little bit. Sequence of work based on economics. So queuing discipline, that's what we call it when we queue things up. Changing the queuing discipline, we can reduce the cost of a queue without decreasing the size of a queue. You spend all my time in airports. So if you take Heathrow to JFK, my favourite routes, if you have 4 planes queued up by ATC at Heathrow, 3 of those planes, 747 British Airways, mix of first and business class, very high value. The last plane is Flybe to Manchester. If they're doing a 7-hour flight to East Coast USA, being delayed by 30 minutes, 40 minutes to the British Airways, even though higher value, is going to have a small cost of delay. It doesn't really matter. They'll make it up. JFK is huge. fly B to Manchester, flight time 45 minutes, 30-minute delay to that, especially with the less availability of slots they have and their quicker turnarounds. That's going to be a massive cost of delay to them, even though the relative value of the flight is probably coming in about 40,000 or something like that. If in your organization you have homogeneous flow, so what we mean by that is everything is identical. It's identical value, they're identical skill sets, you have a perfect resource profile, then first in, first out, it doesn't matter. Your cost of delay is going to be the same. Anyone's here, organization, work on exactly the same thing every day? No. Great, we can continue. Okay, cost of delay and duration. So what we want to do is just like CPUs in computer architecture, we want to get jobs with the shorter duration and the highest cost of delay first. So in this example, we're going to use weighted shortest job first, or what should Jesus fund? Other religions obviously are available. So if we take these three features here, A, B, C, we've given them a duration, we've given them a cost of delay weighting, we've then cost of delay divided by duration is giving us our weighted shortest job first. Depending how we order those, assuming the blue shaded area is a cost of delay, doing the same amount of work in the same time gives us a massive difference in the cost of delay. In this example that we're going to do, and in the simulation, we have taken three variables to work out the cost of delay. We have taken the user and business value, so revenue. We've taken time criticality. Is there a fixed delay? Is this going to have any effect on customer satisfaction? And we've also taken risk reduction and opportunity enablement. So is by doing this now going to reduce the risk of doing something else in the future, or is this going to enable some new business opportunities? So if you look at Las Vegas, my favorite place on earth, it's pretentious and as shallow as I am. But you have your multi-million-dollar hotels, that's great, fantastic, big ticket items, all the hippos want those. You can only get those because you have a decent international airport in the case of McCarran. And then likewise, a lot of the reason that people go to Vegas, especially the American middle class, is because it has the golf courses. So it's what do you need to enable things going on later and more revenue potential later on. Okay, a little bit controversial here. Obviously, we need to estimate cost of delay and duration. Duration, you may know it, you may not know it, chances are you won't know it. As a proxy for that, we can use job size. So however you deem to do that. In this simulation, just for ease and hopefully everyone's familiar with it, we're going to do relative estimating as a proxy for job size and duration. And when it comes to doing these activities, it should be everyone involved who has a vested interest. So product managers, product owners, maybe even the agile teams themselves, anyone who has some skin in the game. Again, assuming you're all aligned to outputting value towards the company and aligned around a common goal. Okay, I've talked far too long. Lights, please. Okay, on your desks, you're going to do it per table. We've got 6 tables. You guys are going to be property developers, and you're going to build me a city. So, what you have are 7 cards in front of you that are describing various real estates. On those, you have the 3 values of business value, time criticality, and risk reduction and opportunity enablement. You also have a crib sheet of the definitions, and you have a crib sheet for relative estimation used in Fibonacci, so 1, 2, 3, 5, 13. I assume since this is Agile, most of you are familiar with that. So what I would like you to do is have a look at the cards, just have a quick little read. There are a few clues hidden around the different cards. And then take the first value and relative estimate it, i.e. spread the cards out, whichever you think has the lowest value, that's going to be your 1, and relatively estimate all the rest of the cards to that. Once you've done that, move on to the next one, which is timing criticality. Same thing, which is the smallest, that's a 1, everything else relative, and then move on to risk reduction and opportunity enablement. Gentlemen, are we good?
Explain again, please.
Okay, so you are going to develop a town, and how you're going to prioritise what you build in what order is going to be based on weighted shortest job first. So you have 3 different variables: business value, timing value, and risk reduction, opportunity enablement. So for the first one, business value, spread all the cards out. Whichever has the lowest business value is going to be a 1. So put a 1 in there, and then score the rest relative. And then move on to the next one, timing value. Which do you think has the least important timing value? That's a 1. And then same thing for that. Add them up, cost of delay, do that. It's going to give you a value.
It's just these 4 or those as well?
Those as well. Cool. Okay, so obviously 1 is the lowest number, as if in not that much value. 13 is obviously the highest number, high value, high impact. Okay, this table here, are you okay?
Just trying to process all the information.
Oh yeah, there's a lot.
I probably need a spreadsheet.
Nah, not spreadsheet, don't need spreadsheet.
look.
It's all about conversations.
Professional employment at the nearby technology park and retail outlets. So this one matches the other ones. So some of them will match. And retail. So those 3 go together if you have the technology and the retail, yeah.
What do you mean?
So because it says at the nearby technology park and retail outlets.
Okay.
So that one.
So does that mean you have to have?
We have groupings.
You have to have both.
Small
of them?
business. No one cares about the small business. Our solution has no local competition. That's depressing.
So I've got like an outskirts
That
type
one?
thing.
Where's the other supermarket? This one says it's got no local competition. Attracts customers through sheer scale and variety.
It's the Walmart of the world.
Yeah, that sounds pretty horrible. I don't think that's something that you really want in your town, is it? Like to crush it so no one can build their own businesses.
If you're there and you own that, that's exactly what you want. If you're at the top and you own those businesses where you crush the competition.
Yeah, that's sad.
Okay.
Is there a fixed deadline? Will they wait? Yeah.
The time is a lot harder, and so is the risk reduction. You've got to think. Obviously, this would normally take 12, 18 months for a full consultation. Can you get any value? Can you get any value in 5-10 minutes? And then how do your answers compare with everyone else based on crude analysis, i.e. not gut feel?
A speaker as well. Do we have to have like a nominated speaker?
Yeah, and you need a team name. It's all about belonging.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess we're spending just talking about that.
Yeah.
That's our theory is good.
Which is fine. You're having the conversations. You're not writing it down, massive documents. You've got some facts. You're discussing it, and then now you've got to take a punt.
I assume we're going to start with the 1 to 2 mil one being a number 1.
Fantastic. I've done this with everyone from stockbrokers to airline execs. It's amazing what people value. Oh, the spa's really important, or it's a housing.
I think this is very valuable. Timing.
So 1 is you don't care when it happens. 13 is it's very important. Yeah, don't overthink the first column too much because the rest of them are a lot harder. Look at this, you're flying.
Scaled accommodation, well, can either be wrong or right, can't it? So.
Well, it's whatever's important to you guys. That's I've done this with from stockbrokers to airline execs. People prioritise different things. Is it a fancy spa? Is it a tech park?
No, we've got social housing, we've got priorities going on there.
With the lower middle class people.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can adjust it and weight this depending on what's important to your organisation. It's just a very crude metric of trying to get some consensus on something which otherwise you could waste months and months and months. And I'm trying to get into it in 10 minutes.
Actually, people don't like malls in the UK, do they? They actively fucking hate them. So that probably is the lowest value because it doesn't make your town nice. Yeah, it costs loads. It ruins your town. Should we put this as the one?
Let's start.
But make a start because you're a tad behind the other teams.
The technology part, then we've got jobs.
Also, the biggest.
So, well, I think the supermarket.
Supermarket is important. You can't really not have.
I don't think anything's more important than a supermarket because you don't have that, the entire fucking town dies.
You can't feed them, they can't go to work.
Yeah. So, should we put that?
Yeah. Stick at 1300 people.
Brilliant.
Right, so the value thing should be reasonably straightforward. It's written on top of the card. Okay. Not to rush you guys, but don't overthink value too much. Yes, sorry. Yeah, sure.
We can't, so the business value, is that the estimated value?
Pretty much, yeah.
Right, okay.
You are the developers, that's the revenue you're going to get.
Right, brilliant.
So 1 is it's a low value relatively, 13 is high value.
Okay, cool.
So yeah, Whip Supermarket, 1 to 2 million, that's the lowest. Are we okay, gentlemen? Yeah? Okay, so the value for these three?
Should we value everything or only 6?
Well, no, okay, you put values in for those. So, White Downs Estate, value is, whatever it is, 12 to something.
Oh, everything should participate.
Yeah.
I thought only 6 of those, like decided 6 of those.
Oh, no, you can use the numbers as many times as you want. Kristen, come on, you can use Fibonacci. Okay, you guys are good. Think of a team name and chat amongst yourselves because the rest of them, I'll call time in about 4 minutes or so, 4 or 5 minutes. But yeah, awesome, thank you. Okay, once you've done that, put them in order, lowest first, and think of a team name, please. Thank you. That's fantastic.
I'd say these ones would be in the top either 8 or 13.
About another 4 minutes, that'd be great. Some of the teams are wrapping up.
I think we've only just figured out what we're supposed to be doing.
All 5, we'll see how it goes, but fantastic, gentlemen, that's awesome. Now, moving on to timing value, which is a lot harder.
So shall we write 13 for this one?
Go on, let's see what
Brilliant.
happens.
Do it. Okay.
I think I'm just about starting to understand what we're supposed to be doing.
So this one, high value to get done.
Okay, fantastic.
Supermarket must be a 13 as well. Everything can be a 13. Yes, it can.
Okay, is everything else 1 then?
Yeah,
Is this binary?
if you do everything is very, very important, that's probably bad.
But realistic.
Unless you're a project manager.
I think we've got the idea of the principle. I just don't think we've grasped the actual concept. So I think we're doing all the right discussions. We're just coming up with all the wrong answers.
We'll see. You'd be surprised how we've got 6 teams doing this.
Yeah.
So normally you would get 6 randomly different answers. Maybe with a little bit of analysis, we sort of narrow that down a bit. Maybe. Don't know. Or maybe it goes tits up and my entire talk's ruined.
It's hard with this little context.
Yes.
Oh yeah. If you were doing this in your workplace, you know exactly what was going on, exactly the complexity, exactly what it's going to cost. So
yes.
You'd be able to apply it.
But it's sort of balancing off. You could spend, if this was real, you spend 18 months 2 years planning this to build it in South Leeds. We're trying to do it in 5 minutes or 10 minutes. But, yeah, what could you do if you had a week or 2 weeks to try and narrow that down and get a consensus? As opposed to wasting time and time and time just to refine it by 5-10%. Maybe.
Well, we need to get a calculator out.
No, it's doing it in your head, it's simple math.
That one, which is what? 3.
You should end up with some weird decimal numbers quite low.
Why? Oh, it's meant to be 26.
Oh, look at this, fantastic, guys. Yeah, well, it turns out your math is as good as the analysis, but anyway. Yeah.
I think we've decided it was easier just to do what the boss says.
Oh shit, that's totally bad. That's 18.
Yeah, that is quite a way off.
It's
not the same. Just check these numbers.
Yeah. Oh, I wrote 26.
I reckon it's going to make a difference, to be honest. It's half past 8 at night, we can't numbers.
I'm pretty sure you've got enough fingers and hands on the table to check the math. Then work out the weighted shortest job first value, please. And think of a team name as well. Right, ladies, gents, are we about done? Has everyone got this now? Okay, stick them in order across your desk, lowest number to the highest number. And then think of a team name if you haven't already. Where's that dripping? Right. Okay, I appreciate that is a very short amount of time to plan what you're going to do. To be fair, it's taken 5 years to plan what we're going to do with South Leeds, and it's still a shithole, so.
Oh, I live in South Leeds.
My apologies. Work harder, go to Headingley. It's probably why I haven't spoken for a while here. Okay, we'll start at the back right. What's your team name, please?
Believe in betting.
I wonder who you work for.
Okay, we're going for the highest weighted shortest job first. So what are your top 3, please?
Supermarket.
Which one?
Working programs.
Yep.
Green leisure. And the monster mall.
Green. Leisure. Monster. Okay, James, what's your team name, please?
Gloriana, apparently. Yeah.
What?
Gloriana.
Oh, fuck, that's what I can spell.
Gloriana.
Okay, your top 3, please.
We've got the technology park, the leisure centre, and the supermarket, the Whip supermarket.
Green leisure, green L, and whip. Table at the back, please. Your team name.
Safe pair of hands.
Safe pair of hands. Okay, and your top 3, please.
Scaled accommodation. Whip supermarket.
Scaled whip, yes.
And the Drew's downtown shopping strip.
Drew's, table here, please. Your team name.
So too tired to think.
Okay, your top 3, please.
Whip supermarket, scaled accommodation, and the O'Neill Monster Mall.
Whip, okay, so we've got whip. Table at the front, your team name, please.
We are Yorkshire Walk Right. Which anybody who doesn't know is how much. We've got the Blueville Estate, the Whip supermarket, and Drew's downtown shopping strip.
Agile Architects. We've got Whip Supermarket.
Yep.
Extreme Technology Park. And then the Monster Mall.
Okay, so for top 3, we got Whip, Tech Park, Drew's, Monster Mall, Drew's again, Green Leisure, Tech Park again, Green Leisure, and the Monster Mall again. Okay, very quickly at the back, your bottom 2, please.
Richard's bottom.
Rich, yep.
Blueville Estate.
Okay, whatever the stupid name was, please. The same.
For glory or honour.
Table at the back. Safe hand, pair of hands, please. Same.
Same for us too.
If everyone's the same, this will be a first. Yorkshire War Cry, your bottom two, please.
So we've got Rich and the merger.
Okay, Agile Architects.
We've got Drews and
So Drews and what? Okay, so what? Okay, yeah, I must say this does rely on very, very basic math of adding figures from 1 to 13, which, as it turns out, yeah, some guys aren't great at. Okay, so for the bottom two, Richie Rich, Blue Voo, same. Richie Rich, Green Leisure, and Drews and Blue Voo Estate on that. I appreciate this is quite noddy and a bit of a simulation, which normally you wouldn't do this. It would take months and months and months. Can you see that? I shall kill the lights. We've got like 2 or 3 slides. Awesome. Well, it's got a lot darker now. Okay, yeah, but it's a game. That's not how we do the work. I do this with every client that I engage with. What we have there are SVPs from Emirates and Donata. Emirates, you've obviously heard of. Donata, you may not have heard of. Basically, next time you walk down steps or you see a little tow truck at an airport, basically any airport in the world, that's the company that own it. Currently worth $3.6 billion. The same principles apply. So we played this game with them in the context of airline, and then they made it out of Post-it notes, just because I'm cruel. But this is how we got them to start thinking and prioritizing their work. The same thing, how you can have something that facilitates a conversation, a group of people aligning it around a common value, what's important to you. Obviously, you've got your 3 variables. You can weight those, you can adjust those, but as long as they remain static and everyone is important of what the value is for the organization. So this is trying to avoid sort of hippo opinions, where it's very easy to look at this and look at the villas with the diving boards and the saunas, the big ticket items, say, right, we have to do this first, it's very important. But with some very crude analytics, it turns out that's pretty much the bottom of everyone's list. And in most cases, it's the small supermarkets that add little value that you need to do first, because they're the ones that enable everything else that follows it. Okay, so to summarize, while you can't ignore economics, while you may ignore economics, it won't ignore you. So you may think in your organization, it doesn't matter about value or making a profit. Good luck with that. Sequence jobs for maximum benefit. You need to understand how to prioritize around a common value and try and relate that to a dollar value. And if you can only quantify one thing, quantify the cost of delay. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.